Listen!
Welcome to Nintendo Voice Chat, IGN's Nintendo podcast. My name is Filip Musin, and today I'm joined with Per Schneider, Brian Altano, and Zach Ryan.
Hello.
How's everyone doing this week?
Good.
Great.
All right.
Up bright and early for that surprise Nintendo Direct.
Yes, that
That wasn't a surprise, but was still sort of surprising.
Nintendo Direct Mini. Let's
Damn it,
get
I should've known
that
that.
very, very clear.
Should've known that.
Yes,
Was
what
it
did,
full size? No, it was mini.
it was fun size. That's what I like to call it. Zach. Fun size Direct. Yes, so we did have a mini Nintendo Direct very early this morning, which was exciting for a lot of people. I was really excited. I don't think a lot of us saw it coming, especially towards like the later half of the day before the Direct ended, because usually Nintendo announces these things ahead of time. They give us like a day or two notice, sometimes even more than that.
Well,
but
this time we got a picture of Chibi Robo on fire.
Right.
We got GameStop. Not GameSpot. GameStop tweeted out a thing being like, the Direct starts in 10 minutes, and then they deleted that.
Yeah.
And then we got that picture of the hot dog man from Miitomo, like from Nintendo officially. Like they were just basically trolling people.
Yeah.
And I kind of love them for that, but also we're insane, and we spent time being like, is Miitomo coming to Switch, and is Chibi Robo like going to be in Smash Brothers? Like all this, we went nuts.
It almost felt like they were pissed that news obviously leaked of this date for a Nintendo Direct, and it's like it's the easy date to pick too. If you were going to predict when Nintendo would address some of the software coming out, but it's almost like the news got out, everybody said, okay, it's coming on this day, and then Nintendo's like, okay, fine, now we're not going to announce it. And then
Exactly what
they
it
just
felt
kind of
like.
sprung it on people last minute. It was really strange. It's a weird promotional strategy to not promote something.
Did you see even like third-party company Twitters were getting involved? They were responding with their own like pictures and stuff like that. Like Capcom responded to the Chibi Robo picture with, I believe, Heat Man from Mega Man, because like they look very similar. And so obviously people went insane, and they're like, Capcom's doing even more on Switch, and there's going to be this, and this. And it's just...
I don't think anybody knew what they're doing. Maybe even the Nintendo social guy was just like, hey, this is an awesome picture of Chibi Robo on fire.
I was trying to
like it
figure
was
that out.
not connected to anything.
Brian and I was texting Brian about it. I was like, what the hell does this mean? Like, why is this Chibi Robo on fire? Something that they feel like they needed to tweet out, and what are they trying to tell us here?
Right.
We couldn't figure it out.
That's the excitement level right there.
It was
Chibi
such
Robo.
a random tweet, but I feel like it makes sense now. Like, did you guys put two and two together?
No.
Yes.
No.
All right. Well,
Explain it.
what I got from it was obviously they were teasing Dark Souls for Switch. So,
Okay, you have to explain this a little bit.
Okay.
Like,
all right. Well, I mean, Dark Souls is obviously a very dark and sort of soulless game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and
Says that on the box.
One can catch on fire in that game.
That's
yes.
true. There are fires in that game.
Yes, fires do exist in this game. So,
Okay, that's a
like
stretch.
you're taking a walk
I'll
there,
give it to
Philip.
you.
Okay.
I will give it to you.
All right, all right.
Now do the hot dog man.
Okay, you got me there.
You open this door, you got to walk through it.
Well, you see, in Dark Souls, you're constantly looking for hot dogs to try and refill your health.
well, it's a sausage
Zach,
fest.
you
Dark
get it.
Souls. I mean, no
Dark Souls.
female monsters.
Dark Souls has campfires. You know it goes great with a campfire.
Sausages.
Hot dogs.
Yeah.
Okay,
there you go.
All right, good.
We've
Cool, we
completed.
got it
We've
figured
solved
out.
the riddle.
No, I think that ultimately I think what it boils down to was that was just sort of Nintendo's sentiment about what was happening with the Direct. They were just like, oh, we're freaking out. And so that to me is all that meant. I don't know that they were particularly trying to allude to anything, but I will say the Direct happened. It was weird. It's a different format for them. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I
thought
was
it
going to ask you, what'd you guys think about them sort of, first of all, after all the fanfare, them just dropping the Direct? Second of all, it being a video on demand file that you could scrub through. It wasn't live or anything like that.
It's a really interesting thing because there's no no embargo when a video is just out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like they always backload all of the most important stuff on any Direct. Like it's usually like they either put the most important stuff right up front or they save it for the very end. And so for this Direct, it was like, well, if I really want to know what's coming, I just skip to the last 2 minutes.
just scrub
and it's
to
like,
the end.
oh, great, there's Dark Souls. Now what's the rest of this?
Yeah, so I mean that kind of bummed me out because I like the and one more surprise type of notion that they've kind of cooked into these things before. But in this way, if you had this open and you had Twitter open, somebody at like 6:01 a.m. Pacific time could be like, Dark Souls coming to Switch. You're like, damn it, you spoiled the Direct for me.
Yeah, it wasn't their usual format, but that tells me like one of two things, and it makes me wonder like, were they either not prepared with this direct? Was this sort of something that they just needed to put together some sort of information due to like fans building hype and creating this for them? Or is this Nintendo just trying something new, like just experimenting with new ideas?
I think it was a shorter presentation. It was a shorter rundown. And like when you're setting up a live stream, you're kind of setting up expectations that there's some more meat to it, that it's longer maybe. And so I think they just said, rather than like having people complain that it was over too quickly, let's do it as a VOD.
Right.
I thought that was okay.
I feel like they were prepared for it. You could tell by like the motion graphics and stuff, which were really well done. I mean, the whole presentation angle of it was great. I thought it was better than one of the ones they did last year, where it was just like coming up next, and you saw like 5 stories ahead.
Yeah,
but they were all like teasers. It was like a pink ball eats his friends. And you're like, I know who that is.
Yeah. I didn't like that at all.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. So this was cool, but I think that this is our fault too. We put so many expectations onto this thing that this was going to lay out their entire 2018 plans.
Yeah.
And it didn't.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't really get a lot. So.
Yeah, we dedicated like a whole episode to that, and I'm not sure how many of our predictions actually came through with this January Direct. Yeah.
Yep.
Not mine. Yeah, I do think that it wasn't the thing that Per and I were talking about this morning, right? Like, I still think that Nintendo is in desperate need of like a real banger, like a real home run this year. Obviously, you know, we got dates for Kirby, which is nice, but Star Alliance, like we'll talk about this stuff more in depth. Star Alliance isn't really doing it for me. Like I'm not super interested in it. And we know that Yoshi is coming. We don't know when yet. I have to imagine that there's something that they're holding up their sleeves for E3 and holiday. But as of right now, I think this was a strong enough showing for the beginning of the year to like get you off on the right foot, because there are some great, like really interesting stuff happening in this direct. But I still think that they're severely lacking in something that's like going to light the fan base on fire in the same way that Zelda and Mario did last year. So
I like that it's like they started the rainbow, but they didn't show you the pot of gold at the end yet, right? Like, I mean, there has to be a big game for Christmas, and whether it's like huge like Super Smash Brothers or, you know, slightly smaller like an Animal Crossing, we don't know yet.
Yeah.
But I am very confident that we'll get something. I don't think it'll be Smash. I don't think it'll be a Metroid Prime 4. Like, I feel like they're done rendering the logo. They're applying some textures right now
to the logo.
And then Pokemon, I think they're done with the box art and they're about to start coding. So I feel like it's not those two games, but I am expecting something bigger at E3, obviously. But I mean, you can see that there's more reliance on third party in here and on revisiting some of the titles that may not have performed well on past Nintendo platforms.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at 2017, which we all just did, the biggest victories out of that was that not only did they get tremendous accolades in terms of reviews and awards, right? I mean, they pretty much cleaned up at the Game Awards and others, IGN. You good?
sorry.
He's okay. They also sold incredibly well, right? So I think to replicate that success in 2018, to be honest, like Mario Tennis won't do that for either of those departments.
Nobody's rushing to Target on opening day to buy Mario Tennis. Like,
Right.
I mean, Mario Tennis is great, but it's not in the same regard as some of these titles that we're looking for. And I think that we're essentially saying the same thing, that it's like, Yoshi, Kirby, even Animal Crossing, even something like F-Zero, should that make a triumphant return. Those are all great Nintendo games that have a specific Nintendo fandom, but the level of like Metroid or Smash or Zelda or Mario, like I just don't know what those titles would be this year.
I mean,
Pokemon
with,
for sure.
With Mario Kart, Zelda, and Mario out of the way, the remaining really big heavy hitters are Pokemon,
right?
And then obviously Smash Brothers, right?
Yeah.
That's a huge franchise. Or whatever, when you go back a couple of generations, remember Wii Sports and all these, like Nintendo had some surprise successes that maybe they might try something unique again, something new that we haven't seen.
I'd love to see
Well,
that too.
Animal Crossing specifically doesn't really light the world on fire when it comes to reviews. I mean, it does well, right? The last few mostly did, but in terms of sales, that is a juggernaut. Like that franchise sells incredibly well.
That's like their third best-selling franchise, I believe.
Seriously.
Something like that.
It's kind of insane. So,
I mean, I think Nintendo's success for 2018, like, sure, a lot of new games are going to help, like maybe Animal Crossing potentially coming out this year. Fire Emblem is supposed to come out this year as well, like a core Fire Emblem title. But I think the key to their success is really just the enhancements or the improvements for the Switch in general, like upgrading their online infrastructure, like where the heck is Virtual Console? When is that happening? Things like that, like just sort of minor things that they could do to improve the quality of life, like while playing on Switch.
I'll put it this way: if you're a PlayStation fan and you faked a UI overhaul for the PS4, I mean, it might get a little bit of traction. Most people wouldn't care. There was a video that went viral the other day. You guys all saw it, of somebody who admitted now to have faked a UI overhaul for the Switch, and we all went nuts for it because we want something new there, right?
Yeah.
We can't even change the themes, basically. So I don't know.
Yeah, and you and I were talking about it before the Direct, before we knew the Direct was even happening, about how desperate we were to find out anything about Virtual Console and how we hoped that the first Direct would shed a little light on that. And I think the further they get away from talking about it, the more rabid the fan base becomes and the more they're setting themselves up to disappoint, because it's like, at this point, you know, if we go into March, if we go into E3 not hearing about Virtual Console, when they finally do announce it, and if it's not every Nintendo game from the beginning of time up through GameCube, people are going to be pissed.
I can't imagine that we don't hear about Virtual Console and like an actual set launch date for the new online service by E3. Like
I feel
has
like
to
that's an
happen by
E3
then.
presentation,
Right?
don't you think?
Yeah.
It just
Maybe
feels
so.
like
Last week I mentioned Verse Super Mario Brothers, right? The sort of like
Slipped
ACA,
out.
the weird like roundabout way to actually get Super Mario Brothers onto the Switch. And I had said specifically that it didn't really get a ton of traction, or that no one noticed. I meant like in terms of media, in terms of like Nintendo rolling out any fanfare for it. When you look on the eShop, that was the #1 selling game last I checked. Like, and that's insane. That's how starved people are for that kind of stuff right now, and they're just not getting it. It's just a drag and drop the Mario Brothers ROM file on there and make $1 billion.
Is that how it works? They have like a little dropper.
I think it's that easy. Yeah,
a little Switch dropper.
Get me to buy that game for the 16th time.
Should we? I mean, those obviously. We shared our general impressions. Should we tell people who didn't watch the Direct what was in it? And like,
yes,
break down a little
absolutely.
bit
Let's go through some of what Nintendo announced during the Nintendo Mini Direct today, and just kind of discuss what our thoughts are on it and how we feel about it and what we're excited about most. So first and foremost, Nintendo kind of started out the show with "The World Ends with You." For Switch, which is actually coming out sometime this year. I don't think we have a set release date for it.
Yeah,
yet,
they said this year.
just 2018. Yeah.
Tawewe, is that how you say it? Tawiwi?
Yes.
It's Tawawa.
So I actually did not play too much of this game. I played a little bit of it
neither.
on mobile, but I know that it came out on DS originally.
Yes.
Yeah, but I hear so many amazing things about it. I'm really looking forward to checking it out on Switch. But have you guys checked it out at all?
Yeah, there's there was a thread on Twitter, a tweet that went viral last week that was like, retweet this with your favorite game for every platform that you've owned. And I named The World Ends With You as my favorite DS game. It is this sort of cult hit from Square Enix that's got this like, it's this awesome action RPG that's got almost like a rhythmic battle system. It takes place in Shinjuku, and style, like your actual clothing style helps your attributes in battle and stuff. It's just a really, really unique game. And the added scenario that they tease there at the end is really interesting to me, because it's a game that I played and loved once 10 years ago, and now this is a whole new platform and a whole new excuse to play it over again.
I had totally forgotten about it and its compatibility with Switch too, because they did adapt it. You know, originally it was
For the
designed for a
iPad.
2-screen setup.
Right.
They did adapt it for the iPad, and it's one of those games that everybody who's played it really loves it. When you assemble. Anyone who assembles a top 25 list and they've played this game, it's on that list, and it's probably in the top 10 somewhere. And so it's awesome to see this return. I think on the Switch, I'm hoping it'll make a bit more of a splash and will be a franchise that will continue for a while.
It's one of those games that people have been clamoring for a sequel to forever.
Yep.
So I feel like if this can, being that it was such a cult hit its first go around, if it can come to the Switch and make a bigger splash, then maybe people Square would be more inclined to invest in it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool.
So good to see it.
Yeah, I'm interested to check it out finally, and it's going to have touchscreen and traditional controls too, so you can play any way you prefer. But another thing that Nintendo announced was, of course, Pokken Tournament DX DLC, which I did not see that coming at all. I thought that we were either going to get a direct sequel to Pokken at some point, or just they were going to be quiet about it for a little bit. I did not expect to see DLC announced today.
This game got, it's kind of like what Zach just said about the last game. Like this actually got a real big shot in the arm on Switch. This is interesting because it's a port, right? And I don't think it didn't sell a ton of units last time around. It did pretty well, but on Switch it cleaned up. Like it did better than some of the bigger fighting games in its league.
They had that window down so perfectly for when this game came out.
So the DLC itself, you can actually purchase it now, but it's going to start rolling out in 2 waves. The first wave starts on January 31st, and you're going to get Aegislash. Wow, I'm so bad at Pokemon names.
Me too, man. I'm right there with you.
So terrible. And then you also get some other support Pokemon as well that I cannot pronounce their names.
It's Garuk. It's pronounced
It's
Garuk.
Garuk. Yeah, that's just the word that we're going to use.
Do we have their names written down?
Yeah, they're here. Can you say there?
Yeah, sure. Who is it? Aegislash, Rayquazi,
Rayquan finally making his debut on the Nintendo Switch.
and Blastoise. Everybody knows that.
Well,
and Mew and
Blastoise,
Celebi.
Yes.
who is
It's
Celebi.
French is Blastoise.
Blastoise, Mew and
Blastoise.
Celebi. Blastoise. That's coming out with the Wave 2, which starts on March 23rd. One note though, so Smash Brothers had DLC, right? That was released on Wii U.
Yep.
And Nintendo released that originally for $5.99, and you could get Cloud, and he would come with Midgard.
Yeah,
Wow.
and there were like packs of DLC basically.
Right.
Yeah.
But Pokken is coming out with DLC for $14.99, so it's a little bit more expensive. I feel like the prices there are a little, I don't know, they're a little off.
That's
it doesn't
not
line
even
up.
a microtransaction. That's just a transaction.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, there are like really awesome indie games on Switch that cost that much money.
They play. I think
And I
Meat
didn't
Boy
pronounce
out
them.
today.
I think they're seeing what the market will bear. They're playing around with price tags. I think it's all very much an experiment for them. And like, by the way, this game, I think Pokken is this game that's going to get a second wind when the actual Pokemon game comes out, once the logo is done rendering. They put that on the Switch. I think they will bring Pokken, and it'll be like Pokken Complete Edition. It's going to have all the DLC packed in for a lower price. I think it'll do really well then.
I'm so removed from this game. Like I haven't even touched it. I played it on Wii U a bit, but I haven't touched it at all on the Switch. And I was just shocked to find out that Blastoise isn't in that game.
Yeah.
Like that. Like
He's like
out
one of the 10
that
dudes I
whole
can
segment,
name.
I was like, really? Blastoise not in this game?
There are a lot of Pokemon. I don't know if you
I'm
knew
sorry.
this. Yeah.
Blastoise.
That's one of the OGs though, right?
Yeah, that's Gen 1, my dude.
Yeah. Even I know that.
But that's why he's so expensive, man. People want him.
It's true. He's very large too. It's a
You
lot of
tell me you're gonna get out
polygons.
there and you're gonna pay upwards of $15 to Blastoise.
It's Gen 1, dude.
That's
Get with it.
touche.
But yes, so after that, they went out and announced Kirby Star Allies, or at least the release date for it, which is going to be March 16th.
Sooner than I anticipated.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm actually looking forward to checking this out as well. I'm not the biggest Kirby guy in the world, I'll be honest with you guys, but it looks like a lot of fun. It really does. So I don't know. I like the look of it. The aesthetic is nice.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's just
Kirby games can be deceptive, where like they all look so similar now,
Yeah.
right? Like the art style, the look of this game looks so familiar, and it's kind of cool to see the new powers. But it's one of those games. Once you start playing, it is easy, but it's also charming, and before you know it, suddenly an hour is gone, right?
Right.
And you'll continue. I like the painting things and releasing the things from the painting thing, and the spider thread stuff looks awesome. So
really good looking
I'm into
game.
it.
Yeah,
Like surprisingly.
I've historically not been a huge Kirby guy. I've played Kirby games here and there. I really loved Robobot, and so I was excited to see what they're going to do on the Switch. For some reason, this game just isn't doing it for me. Like I don't know why. I like the idea of combining powers, but Kirby to me has always been a singular experience. Like I don't necessarily feel like I need to play Kirby with all four of you guys, and that's kind of what I'm getting from this. Is like if you really want to explore all the things that this Kirby has to offer, sit down with your buds.
So, I mean, we're actually surprisingly, I've said this before, but we're kind of starved for like really great 2D platformers on Switch. There's a couple great indie ones. We've mentioned them before. Meat Boy just launched. That's a lot more brutal. Slime Sound's one I've mentioned many times. But in terms of Nintendo, we don't really have many awesome first-party 2D platforming games. They went 3D with almost everything. So I'm interested to see how this comes out. What's up?
Pear's farting over there, I think.
I put my phone behind the counter and it keeps sending me notifications.
Oh, good.
Also,
I'm going to turn it off. Hold on.
Pear will be right back. And while he does that, make sure if you did not know, there's actually a demo out for Dragon Quest Builders right now on the Switch's eShop. So check that stuff out. I played a lot of that game on Vita, I believe, which was a lot of fun. So I'm excited to see it finally come to Switch. The full game comes out February 9th, so it's not too far away if you do want to pick it up. But another big announcement that a lot of us did not see coming was Hyrule Warriors Ultimate Edition releasing on Switch, and that's coming out in spring of 2018. Now, did you guys play Hyrule Warriors?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know you played a bit of it, Pear, right?
Why are you making the straight mouth emoji face?
I don't like this game. I don't think it's very good as a Musou game, and I don't think that it's very good as a Zelda game. And I don't understand why Nintendo keeps bringing it to other platforms. They're like, hey, remember that game that you didn't really like back on the Wii U? Well, now it's on your 3DS and your Switch.
I don't know. I feel
caught
like
some heat in the forums about kind of talking smack on this game, and I apologize to those of you guys that like it, but I realize now that I've said like 3 games in a row that I don't like, so I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut for the rest of the show.
No, but it's like I hear you. I think this game is divisive. They're like, as an old school Zelda fan, I call this the kind of like the imposter syndrome, where you're playing this game, you're like, it doesn't feel like Zelda, it doesn't quite look like it, right? Like you can tell it's not a Nintendo team that made it. Whereas I felt like Fire Emblem Warriors got a lot closer to like the spirit and the feel and the look of Fire Emblem. But it's still a good game. There's so much variety in this title. There's so many great melodies and great moments and great characters in it.
Yep.
I think it's good.
It's
good. I'm happy to see it return.
It's totally fine. I
disappeared too quickly.
I have no significant problem with this game. I don't know if I'll triple dip on it. I played the 3DS version, which did not run well.
Yes.
The thing with this is like Link's Awakening is my favorite game of all time. I'm legally required to say that every week. They put a bunch of assets of that game into this game, and it's not interesting to me. And like, it takes a lot to take stuff from my favorite game and inject it into my favorite video game franchise in these modern times, and for me to be just completely unenthused.
What if there was like a giant windfish that just farted on the enemies and they'd all die?
He doesn't fart,
you
okay? That's
play
not
that?
how that game goes. He doesn't fart. The windfish is a very serious character, and he's part of a beautiful...
Why is he called windfish then?
Because of the farts.
All right, I'm not the biggest fan of Musou games either, but I enjoyed Fire Emblem Warriors. I thought that they did a really good job with it, and I like the mechanics they added about like how you can switch characters on the battlefield. You can strategically place all of your troops and all that stuff around, and it looks like you might be able to do that in Hyrule Warriors. I noticed during the trailer that you can like switch characters, which seems interesting. So. Look out for that one. That's pretty cool. I'm going to be playing it. But Nintendo announced as well Mario Tennis Aces, which is developed by Camelot, and that's the team that's behind a bunch of other Mario sports titles as well.
Yeah.
So.
Did that sound like a disappointed? Yeah, I know. I'm actually happy. No, I like Camelot.
No, I'm
Pear.
not.
Oh.
Pear, if Pear was like doing voices for the video game and the director was like, now sounds sort of like not very excited, and you went, yay.
No,
That's what Gabby J does in Super Punch Out.
I'm happy that
Gabby J.
Camelot is on this. The last Mario Tennis wasn't awesome.
Yeah.
it was just
not
too
very good,
limited.
yeah.
It felt like hey, here's a quick title that we're gonna, the windfish farted out just for the masses.
I think this will be cool. I like the story mode that they're adding. I think that's exciting. I think that this being the sole new first-party game that was announced during this direct puts a lot of weight on it to sort of be something that it's not going to be. Like this, you announced this
I like
game
the
next
grasses.
to
The grass
Animal
looks cool.
Crossing, and then people go like, "What a great day!"
Yep.
But when this game's your star, well.
But it might not be your star. This is literally the January announcement for content, right? So let's see what else is coming out. I was really appreciative that this game is coming back. I feel like the Switch is a great machine for Mario Tennis, for that kind of game, for quick versus play wherever you are. And this is literally the, take off the 2 Joy-Con again and play it in the playing against each other game.
And we haven't seen a
totally
story
digging
mode.
that. And then story mode, like any of the tennis or golf games with an actual story mode are always the memorable ones that we that just kind of defined the series, and it's great to see it in here.
Yeah, totally.
And
It
the
looks
little
gorgeous,
boss
too.
battles look cool too. Yeah.
I love Mario Tennis. I have very fond memories of the 64 version, and I'm really excited to play this one. So
That's good.
yeah.
Yeah. Are any of you guys Yeast fans?
I played East back in the 90s.
Yeah.
So that was the last one, like East 3, when I was gaming on a Super Famicom, so I played the titles. I liked them. I loved the music, but I kind of just started to ignore the series afterwards. I haven't played one in years. I mean, literally 2 decades.
Yeah.
Found out this morning that Ryan McCaffrey is
Ryan is
somehow
totally
a
into it.
giant Ys fan.
Really?
Yeah, which baffled me. But
Weird.
yeah, this is a weird one. This is a Vita and PS4 port to Switch. I don't think it looks particularly great.
No, it looks like the ports you just described.
Yeah, but apparently that's part of Ys's charm is that it's more so about the battle system, about the story. I've never played an Ys game. I don't know. This was kind of an almost like a non sequitur to me. It was like, oh, this is weird that this is coming, but sure.
I mean, I honestly did not expect this, and I'm looking forward to it. It looks, visually it looks a little bit like I mean, it resembles like Hyrule Warriors, that kind of visual fidelity, right? Like, it's like it recalls the golden age of RPGs on Dreamcast. Honestly, the late golden age, right? Like that kind of style and look. The lighting isn't that great, and everything is very angular. But this is also an action RPG, right? Like the battle system isn't just waiting for a turn to play out, and so I think it could be pretty cool.
I was kind of surprised that this comes so hot off the heels of Xenoblade as well, because it kind of looks like a poor man's Xenoblade.
Kind of, yeah. It looks a little Monster Hunter.
It doesn't come out till summer, so I mean, people do. Have time
I guess
to
that's
finish,
true. Yeah, you're right.
Xenoblade, but it is cool to have just another action RPG on Switch. I think that the more the merrier.
Totally.
Honestly, it does look a little dated, but still, I mean, the gameplay mechanics are a lot of fun. Or at least from what I've played of the one on Vita. I forget which one was that. Was that? That
was I think 7 and 8.
7 and 8. I think it was 7 then that I played on Vita. Yeah. But after that, something else that a lot of us were hoping for, but kind of in a different form.
Yes.
Well
said.
Yes.
Well, you guys talked about Luigi last week, right?
I'll talk about Luigi every day in my life.
So Nintendo announced Super Mario Odyssey is getting an update.
Yep.
It's not DLC. It's an update, and it's free.
It's just content that you'll be downloading.
Right. Exactly. And essentially, what this is
that's all.
It's
not DLC.
It's the competitive
TYWL.
It's the brand new competitive balloon world mode, which essentially is a mode where you can jump in, or I don't know, Brian, you want to take this one away?
Sure. Yeah. To break this down, Luigi is now in this game, but not fully playable as you had hoped. Don't worry, his costume's still here. He's brought with him a sort of adorable little mode where he hands you balloons and you have time to hide them, and then other players will have to find it. So there's basically 2 sides of this mode: hide it and find it. Which is weird. Very, very straightforward. So the balloons have different themes, like Tom Nook or Yoshi or whatever, and you just have to find them, and you are timed in doing so. You're timed in hiding them, and there's leaderboards and stuff like that, so you'll be able to find balloons that people all over the world have hidden. Great. Okay. Plus, there's new outfits. We got the sunshine shades. We got the musician hat and the Dark Souls armor, and new filters where you can be a coin. That's so cute.
I know there's like this tinge of it's not what we wanted, right? Like I would have wanted more levels or more stars or whatever, or more characters. I think this is really brilliant. The reason for it is that the Mario games are so beloved by speedrunners. People wanting to complete levels the quickest way and kind of like getting into nooks and crannies that they shouldn't be getting into. And this sets it up for that. Like there will be people hiding balloons in impossible to get to places that are way too far away for others to place them within that time. And I think that's where it gets interesting, when people who are truly expert players will start hiding stuff and you're tasked with finding it the fastest possible way. I think it's really cool. I'm really digging it.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting that even in the direct itself, the voiceover guy said, think of it as competitive objective-based speedrunning, which is such a cool idea. Like, I love the idea of like, do something fast, but make it specific to this thing. So I think it's really interesting. I think that this is sort of the same 2-tier approach that we've seen in Zelda and that we've seen in other Nintendo games, Waves 1 and 2 and Pokken, on this system, in that we'll get this like little bonus, like competitive mode, and then hopefully there's story DLC or Kingdom DLC down the line, later this year.
To me, it feels like, this is made for streamers out there.
Totally.
Right? Like this could be a really popular mode that puts Mario Odyssey more on the map for streaming and, just kind of fun gameplay challenges, because it can be really tense to see if you beat a certain spot in a leaderboard and you come out as the top record holder. I could have never predicted it. Would have never predicted it. It completely came out of left field. But I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool, and you're giving it to us for free. I think that's really neat.
Yeah, I can see it being a lot of fun, especially if you've already 100% of the game and you're looking for stuff to do in Mario Odyssey. It's a cool little addition, and I'm really happy that it's free. But I also don't think that we should lose hope for like future potential Mario DLC.
No, totally. I hope that this is part of a wave that lasts all year of just additional content that gets that I can download that isn't DLC.
Is this like literally Mario
content?
Is this like Mario taking the balloons from Luigi and hiding them?
Oh,
That
I'm sure
seems
there's some
kinda
sort
mean,
of twisted
man.
narrative behind it that
But
paints
Luigi's
Luigi
all like,
as even
I
worse
got
than he
the
is.
balloons, and then boom, Mario just takes
Just
them.
embarrassing what they do to that man.
God.
So we also got an announcement from SNK. SNK Heroines Tag Team Frenzy will be coming out on Switch in the summer of 2018. So, I'm not too big of an SNK guy, especially an SNK like fighting guy, game guy. This one looks to be, I don't know, pretty interesting. It's got an all-female cast, which is exciting, I guess. And I don't know. I think that I like seeing more and more fighting games like this coming to Switch. Obviously, we've got like Street Fighter Anniversary Collection coming as well. So just, the more the platform fills up with genre or fighters of this genre, I think would be great. So
yeah, it's a good platform for it too. You bring your Switch somewhere, you have an extra controller, and you have two players on one screen battling it out. That's cool.
Yeah.
That worked really well for Street Fighter. And yeah, this is interesting. I won't really mess with it, but I'm like you said, I'm glad more 2D fighters are coming into the system.
I never got into the SNK games. Like whenever I tried them, I don't know, it was daunting, and I was a Street Fighter guy back in the day. I could never get into them. But it's cool to see more fighters on the platform for sure.
Yeah, I think this is super niche, but I do applaud Nintendo for bringing this to the system just to see like how well it does.
I wish Blaze Blue or something like that.
God, me too. That'd be really cool.
Would be earlier in line, but we'll take it.
Yeah.
Mario and Rabbids is getting DLC as well. We're going to get Donkey Kong. He's going to become a playable character, and it's going to be available this spring. So that's pretty cool. I didn't see that coming either. I thought Ubisoft was pretty much finished because they said that they gave out their end game content. They added the co-op or competitive mode. And now we have DK in Mario Rabbids, which is cool. And if you haven't played Mario Rabbids, I strongly, strongly recommend that you go ahead and pick this game up because it is a ton of fun and it's absolutely gorgeous too.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen the trailer for this thing yet, he is so gorgeously, vividly animated. It's like some of my favorite stuff I've seen him do in a long time. I kind of wish Nintendo would borrow from this character model a little bit because he feels a little looser and less kind of like he's goofier.
It looks more like a cartoon.
Yeah, it's really nice. I mean, they're doing such a great job over
They're
there.
really good. It's like that's the difference to Hyrule Warriors. I feel like you watch this and you don't get that sense that this is somebody else doing it. It's like it feels like it should be from a Donkey Kong game. And you wouldn't have any problem if that was the art style of the next Donkey Kong.
Totally.
No way.
They're just doing a really nice job with this franchise. I mean, I really hope Mario plus Rabbids comes back for a bona fide sequel.
Yeah.
I hope they don't spend too much time on DLC with this game because it was already so packed. It had a lot of stuff in it.
A little curious as to what this DLC is because what they showed off is just a cinematic. So is it story-driven stuff? Is this a second story featuring Donkey Kong? Is he just a playable character?
Well, he's definitely now a playable character that you can add to your team.
Right.
But I'm assuming that comes with some new challenges. Otherwise,
I
people
hope
who
so.
finished everything wouldn't be able to.
And it's also like what's really interesting is it looks like he can throw characters further than other characters, or that he's using it like a boomerang instead of a gun. So it could be some cool ways to switch up, like especially in like competitive mode.
Yeah, I can't imagine them adding too much content with DK, like with Donkey Kong. Additionally, like story content for him.
Me too.
I don't know
what
why
he said, right?
I don't know why I'm calling him DK. Like all my life, I call him Donkey Kong, and all of a sudden, I'm just now starting to call him DK.
You have the rap in your head.
Yeah,
That's
the
right.
DK
exactly.
rap.
I don't know. All right, Donkey Kong. I think if we do get any additional like story-based content with him, it's probably going to be on the lighter side because I feel like they would have just showcased that or just
Maybe you're right.
said like new story content as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'd be fun to use him in like the competitive mode too. And then
By the way, I'm surprised Barrett is producing this and we didn't get any weird Donkey Kong overlays on our faces.
I'm sure it's happening somewhere.
There we go. This is, by the way, if you're
God.
watching this, Barrett is moving on to produce Beyond from next week. So this is the last show we've got with Barrett, and Mitchell will jump in and produce NVC from here on out. And I'm sure he'll be awesome too. But if we make less fun of Donkey Kong 64, it's because Barrett's.
And I just want to say I give Barrett a hard time a lot of the times, but he is my big pineapple boy, and I'll love him forever.
Yeah, I also want to say, Barrett, it's been great having you, and this might be my last chance to tell you on the show that Donkey Kong 64 sucks.
It's terrible.
we love it, Barrett.
There he goes.
Guess he's done now.
We love you. I'm kidding. It's not good though. It's really not a good game.
One game though that I did not expect to be as interested in until I actually saw it in motion was Faye.
Yeah.
Yeah, Faye looks really great.
Yeah.
Yep.
good.
I forget when this was announced.
We saw it. Well, it was announced a long time ago.
Yeah.
But it came back sort of with a vengeance around Gamescom.
Yes.
Yeah, and I completely thought that we were looking at like a Q3 or Q4 release for Faye, and this is coming out on February 16th, so like right around the corner.
Was this? I'm part of my idiocy on this one, but was this just now confirmed for Switch? Or?
No, it's been
We've
coming
known
to Switch
for a while.
for a
Because
while.
I remember this was on my radar immediately. It's hard to keep up with all these things. But
It's according to Andrew Goldfarb, who previewed it at Gamescom. It's a 3D platformer Metroidvania kind of thing.
Okami-ish.
He likened it almost to like Firewatch in that you get
really?
certain abilities that open up different areas and things like that. So I think it looks really, really cool. I'm stoked to play
you
it.
effectively like learn the songs of animals and then use
Yeah.
them in the wild to interact with environments and puzzles.
And I think that it's coming out at a perfect time.
So it's
It's out
like
very soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually coming out on February 16th.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes.
I'm all over this.
So it's like an exploration platformer type of thing. Yeah. Cool. Sounds
Like it.
Sounds very interesting. And another game coming out from the developers of Towerfall is Celeste, and that's coming out this month, January 25th, which looks really cool. It looks really rad. I have not seen too much of this game in motion, so it's exciting to see it actually like going, I guess, and, and being played. Yeah.
One of our coworkers, Tom, is playing this right now, and he's been telling me about it, and I actually haven't seen it in action until right now, and I'm just completely
This game
sold
has
on it.
Brian Altano written all over
Yeah,
it.
this is
like,
so cool looking.
It's-
oh my god.
Tom says don't sleep on this one.
Yeah, it's tough as nails. It's like it's a super hard platformer. I played it around this time last year when Nintendo did their first Indies event before the Switch launched.
Right.
And it just mopped the floor with me, but it's super fun in the same way that Meat Boy is. Like, you know what you did wrong, it immediately starts you over. It's a challenge that you can throw yourself at again and again, and it's not like a little frustrating, I'm sure.
Right.
But eventually I got to a point where I was like, this is too hard. And the guy giving me the demo was one of the programmers of the game, and he played it. And watching like a pro level player play this game is like a work of art. It is amazing the stuff you can do in this game.
For our listeners, if you haven't seen this game in action, it is more kind of like 16-bit retro style.
Yeah.
Like very, simple graphics, and really relies on precision platforming. Like you have this extra jump you can do in the air, and that's how you navigate really complex mazes of just spikes and crazy
Yeah,
Just
I really
instant death mazes, yeah.
I dig that sort of the verticality to it, and also like the air dashing reminds me a lot of the crazier stuff that happened towards the tail end of Guacamelee.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the treetops or whatever that was. Man,
Hey, when's that game coming to Switch?
Guacamelee?
Yeah.
I have no idea why it's not here already.
I wish they'd bring the first one before the second one. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
We got Juan, right?
Yeah, he's on Brawl Out.
Yep.
we played Guacamelee 2 at PSX, and it's one of my most anticipated games of the year.
It's hot.
It's really, really, really good. So I
As
hope
the children say, it's lit.
it's gorgeous. I hope it comes to Switch.
We finally got a release date for Payday 2 as well.
What?
February 27th.
Oh, wow.
Which turns out is not last year. It's not coming out last year's game got super delayed.
Hey, good work, detective.
But we're
That's
finally
right.
getting it.
This was this is one of the first games we learned about at the Switch launch, right?
Yeah, this was one of the more like, oh wow, like Nintendo's got their big boy pants on, showing
Yeah.
violent games type of game that they
Yeah.
showcased. So yeah, it's cool to see that it's getting closer to completion, and the game appears to be running pretty smoothly on Switch. So
Never played Payday.
Did you guys
Have
did you guys see that exclusive mask?
Yeah,
the timed exclusive mask. It's like it's LED light lit based on the Joy-Con colors, and it says Joy. Yeah, Payday is one of those things where I'm always shocked to find out how popular it is.
It's pretty big, yeah.
And they keep making sequels too. It's one of those things where I'm like, wait. Like people watch that show, and it's like, no, that people are really into that show.
Yeah.
Like, I'm always surprised. You walk into E3, there's always a giant booth for it right there.
Yeah.
and I'm like, paid it really?
my one concern with that game though is like it's so heavily communication based.
Bingo.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So unless they implement it with the voice chat app, I don't see how.
Yeah,
they're
I'm not sure how that's going to work either.
Yeah.
And I also can't ever see Payday without thinking of The Dark Knight. Like I just immediately think of The Dark Knight anytime I
of the
see Payday
clown?
because of the clown masks. Yeah.
The beginning with the
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally.
violin music.
Yeah.
So good.
So good.
Yep.
Well, we are getting another appearance from Donkey Kong on Switch, and it's happening this year with Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. That's right, Barrett. It's coming. It's coming out in May, yes, and it's continuing the tradition of Wii U games landing on Switch, kind of like what we saw with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and Pokken Tournament DX or Pokken Tournament DX. Except we're also getting an additional playable character, Funky Kong, which essentially I guess is just easy mode, right?
Yeah,
It's the
easy.
apology
Yeah,
mode.
okay.
It is
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
apology mode.
Which
Yeah.
I was on this show, I believe, last week, and I said I wanted to get into this game, but it was too hard for me. Meaning that I rage quit on a couple of boss fights and was just like, I'm sick of the checkpoints in this game. They added baby mode where Funky Kong like can't get hurt. He's got all these hearts and he's invincible and super fast. So yes, I know. Thank you to everyone that tweeted me telling me that the baby mode is here for me now. But I will give this game another chance in a traditional way because I don't usually mess with the baby mode stuff.
So I played this in co-op with my kids, and it did get really frustrating because the game does get harder when you play with two players, just to keep track of everything on the screen. And so having the option to have one character not die from landing in the spikes by jumping on the surfboard in this case, I think that's pretty good. This is not an easy game. And getting a crutch like that is appreciated. And I think, I mean, Nintendo saw this in the sales, like, and probably in their surveys too, from families who played this game who said, "Did you have to be this mean?"
Right.
Yeah.
Or
I mean,
restrictive with the continues and the extra lives and everything.
I love Tropical Freeze because it's so difficult.
Yep.
Like, I love that it's punishing, and we'll get to why in the next game. But I think it's an awesome platformer, and it was sort of overlooked on Wii U.
Yeah.
So I think it's great that they're bringing it to Switch. And as a bonus, it answers a question that we've been asking ourselves for a little over a year now. What has Retro been working on? Well, they've been putting Funky Kong in this old game.
I don't think so. Do you think so?
No,
I'm
I don't
going to
think
look at the startup screen to see who ported this. I'm hoping Retro, you are not just eating barbecue and porting Donkey Kong. I hope they're-
Look at those
there's a
surfboard
new game
physics.
coming
You think
soon.
some kind of green company can come in there and
You
make
know
a
what?
surfboard
You're probably
work like
right.
that?
You probably.
It's gonna take the geniuses at Retro.
I think they did work
It
on that.
feels really odd that Donkey Kong Country Returns is not part of this. Is like
I agree. Yeah, if they
like
had
a
done
double
that as
pack?
double
Yeah,
pack,
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that game sold insane amounts. It's actually one of the third or fourth best-selling games on Wii, and then got ported to 3DS where it didn't run as well, but it was still really fun. But totally, just throw that on Switch.
I think because the assets are not designed for HD, this would have been way more work. to do.
Interesting. You're
Yeah.
right. I did
But
not think about that.
But Tropical Freeze is really pretty. I mean,
Yeah.
when you go back, it's super. It's a sharp looking game, and some of the boss battles, just like how smooth and well animated they are, it's really impressive.
Yeah.
So. I mean, I will definitely play it again.
Yeah.
And hopefully not.
I will
not
too.
Quit. I did not finish it though.
I mean, same. Yeah. I mean, I rage quit that game.
Looking at a couple of Funky Kongs right here, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. We might be real Funky Kongs. Yeah.
Well, one game that I've rage quit many a times is Dark Souls. And
Praise the sun.
It is officially coming to Switch. Dark Souls Remastered, May 25th, hitting the Nintendo Switch. How do you guys feel about that?
Prepare to die.
Friggin'
Yeah.
love Dark
Yeah.
Souls.
You all excited about that?
It's just such a good choice for a portable.
Oh, yeah.
I was saying that too on Up at Noon today. We were talking about this for a second, and I was like, I've never thought about this game as a portable game, but it works in that you can jump in, do a quick run, get killed, and be done in 10 minutes. you know,
But
or
does
5
it?
minutes.
Because you can't pause a Dark Souls game. Like that's one of the things about Dark Souls, about Bloodborne, that you can't like stop down and catch your breath. Like that's what's so oppressive
you can
about
pause
a lot of
anything
these
on
games.
Switch.
That's what I'm
hitting that
saying. So
button.
how does that work? You
I
know,
think
it
they'll
kind of
just let you.
breaks the rhythm
What are they
of that
going to
game.
force the game to stay on?
And they, I mean, there's some questions about how the online, the location upload, all that kind of stuff will work because the Switch, you know, will have to wait to connect to Wi-Fi.
Right.
So I'm curious to see how they solve some of those issues. But I really like Dark Souls is a game where you can play for a little bit and stop. You know, it's like it. I thought this would come to the machine just because of the Bandai Namco and Nintendo relationship over Smash Brothers and all of that. So I knew this was a shoe in it. This was coming, but this is really welcome to already be seeing it in May.
Yeah.
It's really good.
It's awesome. Yeah, I played Bloodborne first, and then I went back and played 2 and 3 because those are readily available on PS4. I've never played the first Dark Souls, so this is an awesome opportunity for me. And I also think it's an awesome opportunity for lifelong Nintendo fans who haven't gotten into the series because it gets this comparison a lot, and I know people roll their eyes at it, but to me, Dark Souls has always felt like a spiritual successor to Zelda. Like it has always had a very Zelda feel to it.
But loose. Please break me, Zelda. You know, like a different. It's a.
I mean, it feels like the way that Zelda felt to me when I was a kid. You know, like playing Link to the Past when I was 10 years old was tough as nails.
Playing the original Zelda and fighting 5 Stalfos Knights in one room just to get a key that leads to a dead end on the second quest is what Dark Souls feels like. I love that game. Like, it's weird for me. A second ago, I was like, I rage quit Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze because the sea lion killed me, and now I'm like, yeah, I'm really excited for Dark Souls. Like, I beat Bloodborne. Like, I love those games. They're brutally difficult, you know, but I don't feel like they're cheap. I feel like they're
it's the same way we were talking about
they're a little cheap sometimes.
It's the same way we were talking about Celeste or Meat Boy in that, like, when you get killed in a Dark Souls game, you know exactly what happened. You're like, well, I didn't dodge fast enough. I didn't heal, or I didn't. Yeah,
true.
Exactly.
But sometimes I feel like it's not like in a Zelda game. I feel like it was my fault, and in Dark Souls, I did often blame the game because I'm like, why would you do that to me? Why would you put that there?
Well, so much of those games are this like kind of gambler's pants thing where you're like, I'm
gambler's pants.
You never heard that saying?
Yeah. No.
Really?
No.
You guys have heard that, right?
What the hell is
I've
the
never heard
gambler?
of
Is this
gambler's
like?
pants. No.
Oh no, it's like lucky clothes.
Are you wearing them right now?
I'm not gambling. Okay. I don't really like gambling. No, so it's one of those things where like you go
Brian's
out there.
not even wearing pants.
I'm not even wearing pants at all. That's why we shoot the show like this.
True story.
Desk is see-through though, so one day you'll get a surprise. No, it's actually might be gamer's coat or whatever it is. You know, you never.
I think you should stick with it now. Don't?
Anyway, so basically you go out there, you're getting your ass kicked, and then you start doing really well, and then you go like, all right, I only have like 2 bars of health left, and I don't have this much. I can use a health potion, but I'm gonna get greedy, and I'm gonna go for one more strike, and that's where the dude kills you, and you have to back off, and you die, right? And that's the sort of thing that propels you to keep playing, give it one more shot. I do that with Bloodborne all the time, where I'm like, this boss has 1/100th of a health left, and so do I. But I'm going to get greedy and go for the swing rather than back up, heal, and go in for a direct kill.
It is so incredibly gratifying when you actually get through a boss or a part of that game that you were stuck on for a couple hours. Yeah. So it's just really, really cool to be able to have it on a portable console that you can like play at your own pace, you know, in bite-sized chunks. The whole online thing, like Dark Souls, there are a bunch of people out there that never even put their system online to play Dark Souls. That's okay. Yeah. But I can see them working out some sort of a system where like it just auto connects as soon as you boot back up and like you're close to Wi-Fi. It can work.
It has a persistent system where like your loot is left where you die, right? Like
right.
Yes. Or like the series is famous for like hints you can leave for your friends or enemies.
True. So you'll be missing out on a lot of that kind of cool stuff. Yeah. But
it's also, if this is your first experience with the franchise, it's a good first step. And it's also, there is so much information out there. Like there are YouTube videos and wiki guides, and people have beaten this game with, Guitar Hero controllers. Like if you want to get into this universe, like there's a ton waiting for you, so it's really cool.
Curious to see what they will do with the remaster, whether they add elements from the later games and how.
What if there's motion controls for Dark Souls on the Nintendo Switch? I feel like that's a terrible idea.
Please don't.
So yeah,
I mean, they added them to Doom, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
here's a bit of trivia.
Carpal tunnel.
Here's a bit of trivia. Who wrote our Dark Souls 1 guide? Does anyone know?
I want to say
Zach Ryan.
No.
Colin
I've never written
Moriarty?
a guide. No, Marty. Marty wrote our Dark Souls guide. Yeah. It's like one of the first things he did for 1UP. Or for IGN.
Somebody was it Ryan Johnson? There was another. It was a big director last year promoting a movie that was in an interview said like, "Oh, IGN, I used your Dark Souls."
Oh, it's who's the guy that plays Krennic in Rogue One?
Yes.
Ben Mendelsohn.
Yes,
yeah,
Ben Mendelsohn.
He's a big Dark Souls fan, and he used IGN guides to get through.
hilarious.
Yeah. We got him on a junket saying that.
Well, we have there's a lot of Dark Souls coverage. No surprise, IGN editors like Dark Souls, winner Dark Souls. But if you want to see a cool Let's Play series, just Google Prepare to Try.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
our UK team. They've run many seasons of Prepare to Try, where they're just trying to beat these really tough games together. And just watch episode 1, and I think you'll easily get why people are into this franchise.
Yep.
Yeah, cool. So that's pretty much the entire direct right there from Nintendo. But overall, I'd have to say I was really pleased with everything. I'm happy that we're getting a substantial amount of decent content coming out, at least for the foreseeable rest of the year. But there are some things that Nintendo did miss on, like Virtual Console obviously wasn't there. The launch date for the new online infrastructure was totally not there. We still don't know anything about cloud storage, even though like Reggie has hinted at that in the past. But hopefully we will see more of those details opening up throughout the rest of the year. At least that's what we're hoping for. But let's go over. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. Given how often they've done announcements and directs last year, hopefully that continues into this year, right? And the schedule will fill out, and we'll see much more.
Yeah, and I feel like something like cloud storage or like, Netflix video streaming services, I don't think those announcements will be tethered to a direct or anything like that. I think they'll just be a system update one day.
Yeah,
and they'll
yeah.
be like,
Probably right.
You have cloud storage now from Kirby and your rest of your friends. I'm Reggie Fils-Aimé. You're like,
Yeah.
thanks, dude. That's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, this release calendar leads right up to E3 and then stops. If you look at it, right? Like, I
Yeah.
mean, the only other game is like
point.
SNK Heroine says summer, but everything else is like spring or leading right into May, and E3 is in June.
SNK heroin really sounds like a street drug.
Yeah, it's like like you're Lou Reed
keep
and you're
hearing
like in
that.
New York.
Yeah.
There's also a couple of things that weren't in the direct that are coming at the beginning of this year or through the course of the spring that fans should keep in mind as well. Bayonetta 1 and 2.
Oh yeah.
The Mega Man Legacy collections.
yeah, that
both of
thing.
those. Yeah. So like there is a ton of stuff happening between now and E3.
Yeah, there are definitely more games coming out.
But let's quickly go over some of the games that are coming out or have come out this week, starting with a Wii U game. None other than a Wii U game. Yes, it came out this week. It's called Jolt Family Robot Racer.
You made that up.
No, I swear to
it's a
God.
great game.
Jolt Family Robot Racer
That's a soft
actually
drink.
came out on Wii U just yesterday, I believe. But from there, Brawl. That's a Switch title. The rest of these are all Switch titles. Ascan 2, The World Beneath, Draw a Stickman 2, or Epic 2, Energy Invasion, More Hun Knights and Castles,
Moorhoon.
Of Mice and Sand, Super Meat Boy, which you definitely should pick that
One
up
of my
if you
all-time
have not
faves.
played it. Yep.
Yeah.
The Escapist 2, which is a great game that you can play with your friends. It's got co-op play now, so you can hop online, or I believe it has an online mode. But if it doesn't, it's still you can play it locally local multiplayer.
That game's really fun. I played like
is
the
good.
first hour of it the other day, and I played it before on PS4, but I like it much more on Switch. It's just kind of more intimate and fun. Just sit there with a little handheld in your face.
How would you describe it as 16-bit Prison Break games?
Yeah, and it's
Yeah,
like
that's exactly what it
surprisingly
is.
violent, which I love.
Yeah.
Like there's like shankings and stuff, and there's a crafting system where you can build rudimentary like daggers and stuff. It's great. You can hit
Brian loves
guy-
a good shanking.
I love to hit a prison guard in the head with a good shank in the neck. That's just my stuff right there. That's my type of game.
I gotta say though, my favorite game to come out this week was Fury. Have you guys played Fury at all?
No.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's kind of
I
like
feel like I read a lot about Fury last year. Is that right?
It came out last year,
Yeah.
So it came out on PS4 and Xbox and PC, but it's now out on Switch, and it's like a boss fight simulator. Essentially, you just go from boss fight
boss
to boss
rush.
fight.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun. I've really been enjoying my time with it. It's obviously a smaller price game. I believe it's $24.99.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's got a decently sized campaign, about 8 hours long. I haven't beaten it completely, but I'm pretty
gets
close to
tough.
the end. Yeah, it gets brutally hard.
The interesting thing about this game is that you are effectively given a kind of simplistic move set, and that's it. Like you don't get upgrades, you don't get like new weapons and stuff like that. It's basically just like blocking, parrying, attacking, projectiles and stuff like that. And so if you get good at that, the combinations of those things that you use to fight against bosses determines your success. And the bosses get really interesting. The music's really good, and the art style is like pretty. It sort of looks like a way more robust Killer 7. Like it's kind of like low poly and celebrates that look. But yeah, I'm not crazy about this game because once I realized that it's mostly just boss fights, I was kind of more like, I want to explore the world more, you know?
It would be cool to be able to run around.
Yeah. So there's not a ton of that, but what's there is really solid, and you kind of feel like a badass when you beat one of these bosses because they're tough. They take a while.
Yeah.
Even the tutorial boss took me like way longer than it should have.
So that's
I'm a Funky Kong of a man.
that would be your pick out of this list. That would be your.
That
favorite?
would be my pick for this week. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean it's a tough choice. Like Super Meat Boy is just really really good.
Yeah.
The
I'll always
Escapist
pick
2
Super
is
Meat
good
Boy.
too.
Yeah.
Mohun, by the way, that's this German franchise that goes back to, I think, what was it, like a promotion for Johnny Walker or something?
What?
And it's like Mohun just means grouse. It's a swamp chicken.
Okay.
Basically, and you shoot them in those games, and like it's insane to me that these games are still around and even on Switch now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I thought I'd be dead by now.
It's got like an Angry Birds vibe to it, or at least that's what it looks like.
It's like
Swampy chicken.
This is a swamp
it's a swamp chicken.
Yeah.
It's a grouse.
Yeah.
That's literally translated.
You're a
Mohun.
grouse.
Swamp chicken.
So we've got just enough time for question block, and this question comes to our email, nvc@ign, from Chris P. Thank you very much, Chris P., for emailing us. He says, "Hi all, the January Direct was fine in a vacuum, but it concerns me to have no hint at the heavy hitter 2018 titles on the same level with Mario and Zelda. Do you think this signals 2017 was an aberration and not the norm in having two big titles bookending the year? Prior to 2017, it had been pretty much one big exclusive per year."
Man,
We
yes
talked a
and
little
no.
bit about this
Yeah.
at the top of the show.
I
yeah.
feel like the entire purpose of taking the handheld legacy of Nintendo and the console legacy of Nintendo and compartmentalizing them into one system was to rectify the absence of titles that we had in the past, where you had to constantly switch between the two systems to sort of go like, as a Nintendo fan, I'm playing this here and then this here and this here. Having everything in one place was supposed to solve that. So I really hope they continue that. That said, I don't think any company in the history of video games has had a year like Nintendo had in 2017.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, no first-party titles on those levels have come out back to
There's a
back in
reason for
history.
that, yeah.
So yes, in that way, absolutely, that's an aberration. I don't think we'll ever see anything like that again until Nintendo does it again 7-10 years from now.
Totally agree with that. So I do think there will be a bigger game at the end of the year. I don't think you will see the triple quadruple punch that we have seen with, I mean, even just Mario and Zelda would have been enough, but like Splatoon and all that on top of it, and Xenoblade, you're not going to see that this year. There's just no way. And the reason for that is that Nintendo pretty early on knew the Wii U wasn't going in the right direction. And so some of these big projects obviously got started for the Switch, and the Wii U slowed down to a crawl. Don't forget that. And we don't have that now. Now they're working full time. They're trying to get these mega games done, and it's going to take a little bit longer, you know?
Right.
So it will not look like 2017, but I am confident we'll see at least one big meaty release like a Smash Brothers or Animal Crossing or something.
I mean,
like that.
I'm over on our PlayStation show podcast Beyond, and one of the great successes of the PlayStation ecosystem is that Sony, with their off-delayed and sort of limited first-party support and second-party studios that chime in when they can, leaves a great window open for third parties to come in and make stuff. And with that system selling upwards of 60, 70 million or whatever it is, 600 billion copies of everything gets sold over there. That means a lot of third-party support shows up there.
Yep.
On Switch, we're finally starting to see that. And that's the first time we've seen that on Nintendo in a very long time. So in lieu of them having a big hitter every month or every other month, we're going to get to start to see more stuff like Dark Souls. We're going to get to see more Dooms, and Wolfenstein's still coming.
But I'm hoping some new stuff because
I agree.
My worry is that yes, we will see more third parties, but it will always be the remastered. It's like going back to the 360 PS3 era and bringing back games. And like, let's not forget, Dark Souls isn't just coming to Switch. Remastered is hitting all the platforms.
Right.
Where on the other platforms it'll be running at 60, on Switch it'll be at 30. That's it's good enough for this game. It'll be fine. But like, Switch needs a little bit more of a uniqueness factor on the third party front when it comes to software. The system itself is so unique; it'll sell on the basis of that and the strength of Nintendo franchise. But I am hoping the strength of third party in 2018 is based on some new IP or some day and date releases for.
Well, isn't so much of that sort of determined by the specs of the system itself? I mean,
that's a
been
challenge,
the issue
right?
since day one, right? Like,
But like last year, publishers were like, well, we don't know if we want to support this thing fully yet because we don't know if it will sell. It's done. The story's done. It's selling. It'll do well. It may outpace the Wii, for Christ's sakes, right?
Yeah.
This could be a huge hit, and you snooze, you lose. Like the Carnival games on the Wii was this huge story for 2K where they sold so many copies.
Yeah.
And it's because they did this dumb game. It wasn't even very good early on. And like, if you're a third-party publisher and you're sleeping on this and you don't have a big title for November ready, especially if Nintendo doesn't have a Zelda or Mario, then come on, Jesus.
yeah, and that's what bummed me out about sort of seeing like FIFA and WWE in that they were like not really where they needed to be, and they were the big litmus test for future support. And both of those games had a lot of issues at launch and are getting better. That kind of bums me out, but obviously the technical limitations of the system will determine the library it gets. And for now, we're going to get only so many things. Bethesda bringing Wolfenstein 2.
cross-platform titles, yeah.
Exactly. Wolfenstein obviously is probably one of the biggest surprises on Switch because that is a next-gen game through and through that just launched, 2 months ago, right?
I really hope things like Octopath Traveler will sell on this machine.
Me too.
Just to encourage, Square to keep going as well, because they've been a great supporter already of the system.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll get Capcom do something bigger than a Street Fighter collection and Mega Man.
How about Mega Man Collection?
Yeah.
How about two Mega Man collections?
I don't want this to be the collection machine.
I feel like I kind of said my piece at the beginning of the show, but yeah, I think that this is a totally fine way to start the year for Nintendo. I don't think it was, it's not a barn burner of a Nintendo Direct, but it was enough to sort of tease what they've got coming for the rest of the year until E3 when we get our next big news drop. And then I agree with Pear. I think that there's going to be at least one banger at the end of the year that'll hold people over until 2019, where the games that are in development now will start to drop, and those will be bigger games, like probably Metroid Prime 4, probably Animal Crossing.
Next
things
year?
like that.
Or
No,
Mario
I'm
Kart
saying
Mario Kart 9. I mean, they got to be starting on that sucker too, right?
They're also
Maybe they skip 9 and they just go straight to Mario Kart 10.
This is
This
is kind of crappy to say, but like the system is selling insanely well with or without whatever they do for the first few months this year.
True.
Like I think that momentum will keep going based on Mario and Zelda, who people will be discovering those games for the first time for years to come.
There are a lot of people who just discovered them.
Yeah, at Christmas,
Yeah,
right?
Christmas,
And
exactly.
so like we're coming up for air after those things, and we're like, "What's new?" And they're like, people are just like, "I'm on my 100th moon in Mario."
Yeah.
slow down. So
Let me ask you one quick question. Like maybe Philip, would you be mad if the big holiday game was new Super Mario Brothers, like a new Super Mario Brothers game, like a 2D Mario?
like a port of the
No,
Wii U
like
one?
a new one. Like
Oh, I'm all
a
over
new
that.
a new one.
yeah,
Yes,
a new Super
That
Mario
can't,
Brothers.
that cannot be the title.
how
that's
many
it.
news are we talking about?
Three.
Here?
Three news.
3 news. All right. Yeah, I'll take
New.
news. Yeah.
Yeah.
A port definitely would make me a little disappointed. But
Yes.
a brand new game, I would be totally down for.
Still want that Sunshine port though,
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I
or
agree.
Galaxy.
Yeah.
Or just
I
make
want
a-
a Galaxy port more than I want a Sunshine.
I want Galaxy and Sunshine to be levels I can visit in Odyssey.
Ooh.
Boom. N64. Well, you already did that. Shh.
There you go. All right, everyone. Well, that's our show for this week. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. We are a weekly show on IGN.com, but you can also subscribe to us on YouTube if you haven't already, or you can just catch us on any of your favorite podcast listening services. My name has been Filip Musin. You can follow me on Twitter at Filip Musin. Pear, where can people find you at?
What is it now? Is it?
Yeah, it has been
that?
Philip
Is
Musin?
it like a new name?
It's
What?
new Philip
Oh,
Musin.
I'm
That's-
Pear
Oh.
Schneider. You find it. No. You can find me at Pear IGN.
I'm at Agent Bizzle.
And I'm at Zacharias D.
Cool. Thank you guys very much, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.